Welcome back, everybody. Hello, good to see you today. I hope you're all doing okay and not letting United get to you too much right now. Happy Friday, happy end of the week. I hope you're all doing well. Obviously, United not playing again until Monday, though that's not too far away. Thankfully, this is a day. This is a time we need a very, very quick turnaround. To be quite honest. Couple games over the weekend, obviously, and United will be last again, so we'll be faced with the discussion as we head into Monday's game against Wolves of, hey, if we win, we're going to, and then guess what's going to happen? We will not. The players can't handle it. I was realizing earlier, I was talking to Phil, we were recording an episode, another episode for the podcast that'll be out in the morning. And I was realizing just how crazy it is that we have players saying, like, whenever we have a chance, we screw it up. Because obviously they're not stupid, not crazy, but scary it is. Because the fact of the matter is, we know that they know when there are opportunities, and then they come out scared. And they play scared, and they come out with fear, and they come out with anxiety, and they come out with all of that, and I'm just like, great, you know? And it's been that way a long time, and that worries me. I think these unfortunately, we don't have the mental fortitude to be the team playing last in the league every week and looking at the table because of it, instead of, I don't know, playing at a different time. It was nice when it was the start of the week. I feel like when we've played early in the like one of the earlier games, we've been better, but who the fuck knows anymore, to be honest. I don't know, man. I'm exhausted with the whole thing. But the team has fallen down every time they get a chance to take that step in the right direction. That's just the case. Anyway, but I'm good to see you all here. You were in my top 1% of viewers in YouTube Rewind. Thanks for that, Shenanigans. It's a disease. Even some of the new players are catching it. Yeah, it is a disease, and it's been happening for quite a long time. And I don't know, I don't even know where I want to go in terms of discussing earlier. I did a space earlier on X. One of the reasons I did that, Twitter, X, Twitter, etc., etc. One of the reasons I did that is because I was curious, like, people come on there, people real angry, are they gonna, come on and share your opinions? I just invited people at random from the community over to be on there on Twitter. And I mean, to be fair, it was pretty balanced. Of quite a few things, quite a few people unhappy with how we play. Some of it on the manager, some of it not, some of it, whatever, all around there. But it was very respectful and balanced, which was not surprising to me because it was good. And it's not surprising to me because, as I've said many times, the people who just sit there as it happened after yesterday's game, lobbing around insults online behind faceless anonymous accounts and things like that, cowards. I invited him. And he has since, of course, this individual has since deleted his tweet about me. I invited him. I held the space. I happily would have had anybody come on, criticize Amorim, do whatever you want. Not a problem with me. And he has since deleted his tweet and gone into hiding. So, well, it is what it is. Probably come back and tweet again, doing some bullshit, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. But I was sort of proving a point there as well to most people because I don't really care what people say about me. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But the point I'm proving there is that social media is a cancer on society. And the ability for people to do what they do behind faceless accounts and things like that is horrendous. Like, come on, man. It's horrendous that people are allowed to, capable of, and doing that. And the fact of the matter is whenever you put the light on them, they scurry away like the little rats that they are. Simple as that. And that's okay. But it's not what most people are like. Most people are decent. Most people are kind. And most people who, when given the opportunity, will be respectful, will be sensible, and all of that. And that's why I always treat people with respect in general in speaking to them, because that's how you should. So all of that being said, the reality is, of course, that it's a tough time to be a United fan. It's a tough time to be a United fan. We're going through it. We go through it a lot, but we do it as well. And where we are is I think we have to separate ourselves on a couple of different ways when we look at this team as a whole, right? In terms of the club itself, in terms of where we're going, in terms of everything, what we're looking for this season, what we're trying to see out of this season, as we've always spoken about, is progress. That's the truth of the matter. We have seen progress. Maybe it's irrespective of the manager. Maybe the manager's holding back faster, more rapid, more, dramatic progress. Maybe somebody else could be, in place that would drive things quicker, drive things faster, drive things further along in the direction that we're going. Maybe that would be the case. It may well be true. But it is an unknown. It is an unknown. And I think that the right way to look at everything on all of this is, in general, with balance. And I think that the silliest thing you can do in trying to look at something is to take a position based on emotional feeling and be stuck to that position. There's a reason I do not talk politics. I do not discuss these types of things, because it is the exact issue that goes on that just drives massive, massive wedges between people and society and all of that kind of stuff. Why do you have to take a stance to support something one way or another? Why? I don't understand that. I'm not sure what the point is, because as soon as you assign yourself to a specific spot and don't let yourself be able to observe and to change, you block out the ability to see anything different to your own perspective. That's just natural human nature, cognitive dissonance. It's a known thing, and it's why you can't argue with people. It's why you can't argue with people about politics. It's why you can't change people's minds. In fact, most of the time, all you do is make it worse when you argue with people, and everybody sits there arguing back and forth and saying, well, it's this and it's this and it's this, and the other person is just ends up being more convinced of their own rightness. We shouldn't be, as fans or as a community or anything like that, manager in, manager out, player in, player out. It's whatever. But I do think that we just want to see the club improve, and we can all have opinions in terms of what we think those guys are going to do, whether they're doing a good job, whether a player's doing a good job, whether the manager's doing a good job.
I want to back Amorim, but his in-game management is so disheartening.
I agree with that.
Way too many defensive substitutions, and I feel it's starting to unravel on him.
Yeah, I do think the substitutions. Look, me on this. My biggest thing with Amorim has been player and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's always been about the selection and ability and the managing of the individuals pre-game and during the game. I think there's a lot of things that are okay. I've never really cared about system and things like that at all, because I think people, I think people really like to dive into that too much. But where I think you can really see mistakes, right? And this is why it's not about in or out or anything like that, is the ability to observe these things. Yeah, me neither, pretending, Mike. I don't think it's the right time to sack him at all, actually. I think we're heading the right direction. But that's where you can look at it and say, you don't need to assign yourself to Amorim in or Amorim out or anything like that. You can just say, I don't like this, I like that. I don't like this, I like that. That's where I'm at. There's a lot of things I don't like right now. There's a lot of things I do like. And there's people who, because Many people may feel this way, and that's fair enough as well, who may feel that because things aren't great, that means there's nothing to like. I disagree with that. Like I said, I think progress is a slow boat forward, and I think it has to look at where we've been in the past. And I think we have to look at where we were to where we are now and to where we're going, and see if we are going in the right direction on there. The biggest thing that I disagree with in general is and always will be the playing of the midfielders when they're not a part of the future for me. To me, that is the biggest issue we have at the moment, in terms of where we are going. That bothers me quite a lot. That concerns me because I don't think we're going in the right way.
Ignore the haters, James. You are doing a top job.
Oh, appreciate that. The only reason I respond to some of these things on occasion is that I like to show the point, which is whether we win or whether we lose, whether things are trending in the direction of how I feel about the club and my opinions, I'm going to be here because I don't have to stick into a trench and then it doesn't go my way and I go into hiding, which is what most of them do. I'll come out whether it's going for or against me and observe a new situation and formulate new ideas and new opinions on that basis, But the alternative to that is, to that discussion about who we're selecting in the midfield and who we're playing is who is a part of the future. One of the things I want to say that I think is very, very clear, we don't necessarily have to debate it. Ruben Amorim doesn't rate Kobbie Mainoo. I think that that's being made into a lot of other things, right? I think that's being made into hates academy, doesn't give youth a chance, all of these kinds of things, etc. I mean, Aiden Heaven started that game, by the way. I think that is further evidence of the simple fact that really, realistically, and truthfully, Ruben Amorim doesn't rate Kobbie Mainoo, right? That's it. And I don't think we have to take it beyond that. We can discuss whether that's true, false, this, that, or the other, but if Ruben Amorim rated Kobbie Mainoo, he would play him. Joshua Zirkzee was getting fewer minutes than Kobbie Mainoo until the time came, and now he plays him. And he's played him, and he started him 3 games in a row. And I understand there's an injury in that, but he didn't have to. He could have played Cunha and Mount and things like that. My point is that he gives opportunities to players. He clearly doesn't think, when I say doesn't rate, I'm looking at it and I'm saying he clearly doesn't believe that Kobbie Mainoo will bring something, which he keeps repeating, and I think the answer is as simple as that. He just doesn't think Kobbie has something that is useful in that instance compared to his other options. Like I said, you're going to have, of course, tons of people are going to disagree with that. You know what I mean? Tons of people are going to disagree with that. Of course, it's going to be highly controversial. But it's not just Ruben. That's part of it. And yeah, look, like I see there's tons of different opinions in there in the middle. And the thing is that we have all seen Kobbie does have it. Who's we? Who's we? See here, this is what I'm saying. This is the exact problem this is why, trying to stay objective, people take insulting or take it as a being one-sided on a discussion. You rate Kobbie Mainoo because you have seen Kobbie Mainoo do something for someone else, under someone else, in a different team, at a different club. And by I say different club, I say let's talk about. I'm talking about the Euros, okay? For his country. Ruben has seen Kobbie Mainoo under him. Under him. That's all he's got as an experience. And it happens every time you change managers.
If we are really an ambitious club, we should back the manager and bring in at least 3 players in January. Edison, Gomez, and Semenyo.
I agree with that. There's a couple new names today. Well, not newish names. One new name, not one not so new name. It's been a while. Kobbie played a lot of games last year. And this isn't me agreeing with this assessment. Like I said, I think this is where it's really, really important to just be able to look at something from someone else's perspective. Okay. Kobbie Mainoo has he has not seen in his own experience at United Kobbie Mainoo be special. He hasn't seen Kobbie Mainoo be somebody that he wants to use. He hasn't seen that. It's not the only one. You know, I thought Ugarte was actually decent for Amorim last year in the Europa. Now he can barely get a sniff. Yeah, he's getting on the pitch a little bit. But look, when you look at the last season, and when you look at last season, just to look at it, just look at it for a second, all right? Try and see people and perspectives of others in that sense. Kobbie Mainoo started every one of these games in this run. Okay? Forest, loss. City, win. Bournemouth, loss. Wolves, loss. Newcastle, loss. Liverpool, draw. Southampton, win. Brighton, loss. Palace, loss. Loss, draw, loss,
I rate
loss.
KM highly. Technically he's gifted, but if legs and athleticism is what we're after in midfield, he isn't it.
Right. So my point is, I'm not sitting there saying Kobbie Mainoo's responsible for that. I agree with you on that, Rana. He's gifted. Right. Okay. My point is that he played, you know, my point is that that's his view. Okay, is that he saw whatever he saw in those games, and he saw other players in those games and made his assessments based on the time that he had at United. Now, United also wanted to keep him during that period of time. Also tried to get him onto a new contract at that point in time. And Ruben in summer said he likes Kobbie, but there's quite a few things he wants him to improve. The simple basis of this is, and it isn't more or deeper than that, is that he very obviously, without agreeing with what is being said here, but observing what's going on, he very obviously doesn't think he's good enough. And the club probably not too happy with the way that he has handled not being in the team. You can agree with that or disagree with that. It's fine. That's on you. That's your call. You're totally welcome to that opinion. But the fact is, those things. The idea that that it's something else is just conjecture. Okay? I agree. Legs, but he plays Bruno Casemiro. I know. I've said it 1,000 times myself. But that is, but apparently what he has or what he doesn't have that they have is passing, I guess. What they have, what they doesn't have is passing. Look, we were 2 games into the season when I said this back then, that this was going to become a problem now, and that it wasn't going to be looked at well by the manager or the club, and that I wouldn't be surprised if it backfires. I said this after the second game of the season. You all remember it. And I spent that game saying, why the hell was Kobbie not on the pitch? Okay? So I'm in agreement with you. All right? But I did tell you after 2 games into the season that demanding a transfer and briefing everybody in the media the day after the game with 1 or 2 games left, 1 or 2 days left in the window about leaving is not going to work. And it is very likely going to backfire because it is the exact opposite.
Hey James. Every day this club makes me miserable.
I hear you, Humphrey. Is the exact opposite of the culture that they are trying to create correctly. That was going to backfire on him. I said it back then. It's so obvious what they're trying to do with the club off the pitch that the last thing anyone can do is go and throw a fit right before the window is over. It doesn't matter if it's justified. It's how public it is, that it gets out of house, that it goes into all sorts of different things. It was never going to work. That's the point I'm trying to make, that I don't think is necessarily, being understood, right? Is that it's just, it wasn't the right time, it wasn't the right place, and it was never going to be effective. And I think that has had certainly a negative impact on things. Then you look at today, doesn't get on the pitch, a lot of the noise, and then we once again get briefings. I'll be looking to leave in January. Like I said, if he goes out, I don't think he'll come back because it's not just Amorim. And it's not just Amorim. It is more than that. And unfortunately, that seems like it's the direction it's going. Unfortunately. And that worries me right now because I just don't think that that's where we should go with things. That's not what I want to happen, but I think it's poorly advised. There's other things that are going on, and one of the things I really don't like is being in a situation where you're not where like I have to sit here and I try to protect, not say things about players too much. Anyway, I don't even actually want to get into it. But there's other reasons for him not playing. And it's like, fuck, man. It's like I said, it reminds me of the Rashford situation where if people don't necessarily realize that there a lot more could be said, and by not saying anything, it's in a lot of ways protecting the player. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Whatever, man. It is what it is, because I don't even want to get into it. It's an impossible, it's a no-win situation to discuss beyond this. It's just a no-win situation to discuss beyond this. But I think that if he goes out on loan, he will leave. But again, it's also more than the manager. It's more than that. You got a little bit of it today. I mean, we're back to liking Instagram posts against the manager. It's like a rot in the academy, that aspect from certain players. And I really don't think it's something that people should excuse. It's childish. It's classless. And I don't care who your manager is. You don't do it. We've talked about it before. I don't care who it is. You don't do it. I despised Ten Hag. Despised. And when Garnacho did it, I had a huge problem with it. It happened today. I got a problem with it. It's not okay. I don't like it. It's deep, man, and it goes bigger. There's a reason 3 weeks ago. No, the like was real. I checked it myself when I saw it. It was real. It was, unfortunately, which is disappointing to me. 3 weeks ago, Amorim talked about this aspect of managing the academy from like a mental level, from an intentional level, from the aspects of people get too much, too quick, too fast, things like that. I don't know, but clearly there's more going on to that behind, the scenes. I'm disappointed at the same time. The manager can laugh at a question. Yes, because it's not laughing at Kobbie Mainoo. It's the same thing as when he was getting a million questions about Marcus Rashford. It's a laugh at the media. It's very, very obvious. It's very, very obvious if you aren't looking for it, that what he was doing was getting frustrated and laughing that every time we drop points, Kobbie Mainoo. Every time we drop points, Kobbie Mainoo. Every time we drop points, Kobbie Mainoo. A week ago, I spoke about this and I said people have turned on this and are just going to continue using Kobbie Mainoo as a stick for all ills to beat. I said at the start of the season, he played plenty last year. We were still bad. Kobbie could play now. We're still going to be about the same.
Kobbie asked to leave at the start did him no good.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. Exactly. But Ruben was laughing at the reporter, not at Kobbie, not at the idea of Kobbie coming on, very obviously. He was laughing at the endless questions over Kobbie every single time we lose games. Every single time we drop points, it's the same question, it's the same discussion, and it gets exhausting. But, like I said, there's a nuance in this. I can very much think and want and hope that Kobbie can make it at this club and can play. And I wish he would more. And I think Amorim makes selection problems and things like that as well. But at the same time, I also think that there is maybe more to it that we don't know. And there's a cultural aspect to what we are doing that, that is ongoing. I don't know, man. We don't sit there in training every day. We don't do it.
Opium and tell me Wilcox doesn't truly believe a Bruno Casemiro midfield can cut it for the rest of the season.
I fucking hope not, man. But let's talk about that and give you some hopium on that. But look, if you're to ask me today, your channel is my most watched channel according to YouTube 2025 recap, 200 video total. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you and everybody else as well. Yeah, if you were to ask me today, I don't know. I just don't think that we're headed in the right direction with Kobbie. But like I've said with every single other player, I'll never go one way and say, all right, well, I said when we hired Amorim, people were begging for it back then because people were like, we're so tired of Player FC. No more Player FC. None of it. No Player FC. Don't do it anymore. And then I made a promise. When we hired Amorim, I said, I will not turn on a manager for one player. And so I'm not going to change on that now. And that's how we're going to do it. Whatever. But like I said, it's a lot more. It's a lot more than Ruben Amorim, and I think people are silly about that. It's a lot more than Ruben Amorim. So, I don't know. We're going to go back and forth forever on the Kobbie thing, but like I said early on, I think wherever you sit on it, the simple thing is he obviously just doesn't rate Kobbie Mainoo like that. Okay, I don't know. Maybe he's wrong. Maybe he's right. Don't know. But I don't think that what's going on is doing Kobbie any favors either. You asked for some copium, right? You asked for some copium in terms of could we potentially make a signing this year? Well, there's two things that happened this week that happened today in the media and all of that. Peter, thank you for the 5. gifted memberships to the community. Appreciate it very much. There's two things that happened today that are interesting to me. Number one is I do believe, as I have for quite a while, he said recently, we don't know the half of what's gone on. That's true. He did say that. Like I said, I sometimes not saying anything, not giving an answer is the reason, is protecting the player and whatever. People are overrating him massively. And some people see it that way. Fine. Like, everybody's going to have a different opinion on the player. So, I don't know, man. That's what it is. Now, the first thing is Buwadi. Let's talk about Buwadi. It's going to read these out in a second. Buwadi got a 2-year extension.
He said recently, we don't know half of what's gone on.
Yep. Buwadi got a 2-year extension over there.
People are overrating him massively.
He got a 2-year extension. However, take a look here. It can confirm as well that they want to keep him this winter window. They've extended till 2029. However, the player's future could lie elsewhere in the medium. In fact, he's expecting offers of 50 million euros next summer before. And it says, where did it link us? Arsenal are making a move for him, but both Manchester clubs and Liverpool are keeping a close eye on the player. Love that. Buwadi is potentially a very, very good player, a player that, as I've said before, we have been watching, so it seems as though, they're just trying to preserve some value, get a good sale for him later, and we're on that. We're in there. Collections, gifting a membership to the community. Thank you for that. So that's good. Buwadi is really, really good. Buwadi is really, really good. And I think that's an exciting one, that United are continuing to monitor that situation, somebody that they could make a move for this summer. We've talked about him a bit in the past. I think he's a really good player. Obviously, United are looking and keeping their eyes open on different midfielders. We may end up needing 2, maybe 3 in the end. If we, let's say, get one, but can't get one of these other big ones, someone like Buwadi could absolutely come into the frame. But once again, we're going to be competing. Liverpool, City, Arsenal are all going to be, competing for a lot of these midfielders that we're talking about and looking at in the market. And I think that's going to be difficult, which is why we have to make some moves in summer to be quite available, at this point in time, to make our case, to make a stronger case to where we're at in summer. Then we got linked to somebody else. I'm going to see how people react to this because no racism in the chat. You can't do it just because it's Americans. We got linked as well to Tyler Adams in the story from Wheeler at the Daily Mail. Oh, about 12 teams wanting Kobbie. I mean, I've told you about this connection before. Like I said, it's as obvious as it can be, and it doesn't do him any favors when the next day a story's in the Daily Mail when he's left out. But regardless, it does say in there that, of course, United are looking at Anderson and these guys and all of that. But it also says that we have discussed Gomez and Tyler Adams. Now, we've discussed Gomez. Obviously, we have other reports that it sounds like we're not going to go in for him in terms of making a move. Tyler Adams is another solid rotation, but good squad playing midfielder. If we're looking at needing 2 or 3 midfielders moving forward, if we're going to change our starting 11, Tyler Adams is a perfect, I think, third midfielder to have in the squad. A good player. He's a good physical, ground-eating player who plays in a very energetic Bournemouth system under Iraola that people have praised a lot, and he's good. He's been good. He's made it in the Premier League as an acceptable player. Not going to win you titles, not going to do anything like that. But he does fit what we want in the midfield. and I think is a good player. He's a very, very tenacious, energetic player. And that's what we're looking at there. Yeah, so it's interesting that we're discussing him because it makes sense. He is similar to João Gomez, a strong, good midfielder that covers ground, that is tenacious, that works hard, and all of that. I really love my run hard. I do, because look at what the fuck we are without hardworking midfielders. Look at what we are without hardworking midfielders. I'm so sick of it. Look at this team without hard runners. We can't show, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it. All right. I'm going to bring him up again. We miss Fred. But it's not just that. We miss Freds. We miss Cavani's. We miss players with intensity and energy that will show up to every single game, at least to bring the bottom line. We miss that, and we haven't had it for a long fucking time, and I'm so tired of it because it is the basics. It is the basics. We need more squad players like that. He would be an immediate replacement for Ugarte, who hasn't worked in the Premier League. That's all. Tyler Adams has. Tyler Adams has been a competent midfielder in the Premier League.
James,
when Ugarte hasn't. The concept of Ugarte is fine.
Fans in the chat every time United have a bad result and never see them when we win. Are they bots?
Oh, I know, Iraqi. We're seeing them right now. And when you open up your spaces, they don't show up either. We're seeing them right now. So yeah, we need 3-4 midfielders. He's a good option. And if you're looking at what you can get in January, as available, maybe that's a decent option. Maybe that's somebody that we could get. That would help the team. I think he would upgrade immediately on Ugarte in that team. People love praising Bournemouth, Ireola, and how they play, and then, so I know all of you. I know your little games. The anchor for his midfield to now say is crap. I know your games. It's easy. It's easy to catch people out on their false, on the way that they think and see things. But yeah, Adams is a nice player. He's a nice player like Gomez that I would take as a good squad player for the team. When your major targets are going to be there in summer. He's a good Premier League player. We need more of those. We don't have Premier League players. We've got guys who can't cut it in the Premier League. We've got too many of those. We've got some really good ones, and we've got a lot of players that can't cut it in the Premier League. We've got that. So we see that. That's where we are. If it's him versus Ederson, who would he go for? PL Proven? I would imagine PL Proven simply, but we don't know necessarily whether how available he is or where he's at or anything like that. But I would think that they would look at PL Proven. I mean, again, we're seeing more links to Premier League midfielders. They're pretty much all Premier League midfielders, right? Adams, Gomez, the ones we've looked at and discussed. Adams, Gomez, Andre, Baleba, Wharton, Anderson. We very obviously want guys who have made it in the Premier League, guys who have been successful in the Premier League, who have cut it as players in the Premier League, Yeah. So, yeah. He's a good player. And he's exactly the type of player that I would love to get because it was exactly the type of player I'd love to get. Not because he's American, even. That would be a bonus for the piss boiling of the elitists. But mostly because I'm just dying to see when we have a team that can actually run. Not that it's the only thing. And not even that he's like a shin kicker, because he's actually quite good on the ball. Makes a lot of forward passes, is fairly decent in terms of
Damn
progression
James,
and all of that,
look at
especially
the chats.
per possession.
I wonder how they would have reacted to United signing the likes of Henderson or Milner or Jorginho Wijnaldum.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing when you look at Arsenal signing, which somebody did make a very good point earlier in the space as well. Someone who disagreed with me on almost everything made a really good point when he was talking about Arsenal signing, because I made the same mistake. A lot of guys, when Arsenal were signing and building their team, a lot of people scoffed at them. You know what I mean? A lot of people scoffed at a lot of the signings that they were making, and a lot of those players elevated them. A lot of those players elevated them, and all of that. So, I mean, it is what it is. But he is a decent player. He's 26. If he's available at a good price, I'd be happy with him. Has a January signing that helps us. It gives us another option, and obviously helps hopefully earn us a few points, bringing us in the direction of where we want to be. Will we get him? I don't know. Obviously, it's just a name mentioned. It's just a name mentioned in the article, but it's good to see that it's good to see more inventiveness going on there. Prefer Kamara at Villa? Well, sure, Kamara at Villa is great. He's also completely unavailable. You know what I mean? So, there's better players. There's better players out there. We know. Not going to get Kamara. So, what's the point in discussing it, That's the difference. It's a balance of, in January especially, what is obtainable and what can you get if we're going to make any moves, and that is an interesting one. We'll see if anything comes from that, but yeah, I actually think it's a decent option to that. But more importantly, what it tells me is that we're looking, right? That we are keeping an eye out, that we are trying to find more options, that we're exploring different things, because we very, very obviously need players. We very obviously need reinforcements. So the more reports we get, the more intrigued I am, at least, that we are trying, that we are trying to do something. So yeah, I guess we'll see. We still have no idea who we're potentially going for at this point in time. Yeah, we did miss the Kamara opportunity. Fuck me, man. I really wanted him back then too. I really wanted him back then. I was very excited about Kamara, the idea of Kamara, because we were watching him, we looked at him, and then whatever, man. We've the number of midfielders we have missed on the basis of stupidity, with just stupid decision making from Kamara. I mean, you could look at Aston Villa alone. They have an entire midfield made up of players we missed out on for stupid reasons. Kamara, Tielemans, Onana. Their entire midfield are players that we could have signed. It's hilarious, It's absolutely hilarious. But that's United. That's United. We wanted something shinier. Yeah, we wanted something shinier. We missed so many players. We missed out on so many. It's funny. Which reporters do you trust most? Talk shit. Which reporters do I trust most? The same. I think there's good guys, and there's a lot of people who have decent info. There's a lot of, the way that people usually view reporters is pretty black and white. There's a lot of gray areas in that, but there's a lot of good people. There's a lot more people who have decent info when they share it. It just depends when and where and things like that. Thank God our signings are probably thought out. Such an improvement. Yeah. Our Villa's midfield would easily get us. Name me a team's midfield that wouldn't get us champion, that wouldn't improve us right now. That's the question for you guys in here in the chat. Name me a team whose midfield wouldn't make us better. Right now in the Premier League. I'm seriously curious, because 2-point Wolves midfield would make us better in the midfield right now. I don't think there is one. I don't think there's a midfield that isn't better than ours. Oh my God. With Chelsea's midfield too was pretty funny. Both Caicedo and Enzo, we were looking at, and we were scared. Burnley is probably you're the right answer. Well, who do they have? Who's in Burnley's midfield? I mean, Hannibal, obviously, getting banned for spitting. We might have some issues. By the way, do we have issues? The amount of our ex-academy players who have done really stupid things. Yeah, we probably have... Burnley's midfield is not better than ours. That's true. That's true. Yeah, Burnley's is pretty bad. Yeah, Burnley's is pretty bad. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Fulham, they have Sanderberger. Somebody else. As well. We have Ugo Chukwu. Oh man, I would take him. He would improve us. Forgot about him. You know, there's probably one player you could pick from. There's at least one player in every single team that you could stick in our midfield. True? That's what I think. I think there's at least one player at every single club in the Premier League that you could stick in our midfield that would improve us. Oh yeah, Fulham. I forgot about the transfers. Yeah. Forgot about the transfers. Who was I thinking of? I wasn't thinking of... No, someone asked who plays in Fulham's midfield. I was answering that question. I was thinking about Sanderberg. West Ham's midfield is pretty shit. Yeah, without Paqueta, maybe. Yeah. Without Paqueta, maybe. Yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking to me. I like Mateus Fernandes yesterday. He played really well. Yeah, he did. Also, Bowen. Bowen killed us. If you watch a lot of the moments, it was pretty much all Bowen for West Ham. Bowen killed us, man. Unfortunately, Bowen's a good player, quality guy. Not midfield, I understand, but Bowen's a good player. I was impressed with him again. I almost always am when I watch Bowen play. He's a good player. But yeah, I mean that's why we that's why the midfield's where we need to invest next. But I also think it's why it's so important we do something in Freddie Potts actually is pretty good. Freddie Potts is a pretty good young player. Has plenty of Freddie Potts has plenty of potential. I saw him in summer in person. I think he looked really good. You know? So yeah, he's a decent player. But yeah, Bowen's a good player, man. Bowen's a nice player. Yeah, he always ups his game against that. Yeah, that happens all the time, but we can't make excuses for that. Yeah. Liverpool just about beat West Ham. Well, I mean, I'm not again. This sounds like making excuses for for this game yesterday. These are West Ham's last results, right? Oops. Oh, what the hell happened there? Draw, loss, right? Draw. They beat Burnley. They beat Newcastle. I mean, they have one loss in their last 5. Doesn't excuse it because, like I say, it was crap. And we should have won the game anyway. But yeah, Nuno has made them a bit better. They're still bad. They still should have won. It's still annoying. I remember what I wanted to talk about was this. This is one thing I wanted to talk about today, which is rather interesting. Because we've talked about the midfield. We're spending all this time talking about the midfield. We've talked about midfield needs, we need this crap in the midfield. We've talked about all of that. One of the things we've discussed recently many times that I've tried to explain about the Amorim team and the way that he wants to play is this exactly. He wants the progression to come from the wide center backs and the wide areas. And one of the reasons I was actually pretty intrigued by yesterday's lineup when it came out and why I really wanted Mazraoui back there is having wide center backs progress the ball, we look better. And I understand people are going to look at the game because of the result and say there was nothing that was better in that game than otherwise. But It was. We were able to progress the ball very effectively against West Ham. And I know then the counter argument is going to be, yeah, but they don't press. Well, neither did Palace and neither did Everton down to 10 men. We still couldn't progress the ball with them. Our center backs were very, very scared to progress the ball against both of those teams. Mazraoui and Shaw did it again with the progressions. The combinations between Mazraoui, Dial, Ahmad on that side were really, really good. We didn't need all that midfield progression anymore, right? Look at Casemiro. He's all the way down here. Ugarte progressed the ball via the carry in the minutes that he was on more than these other guys. That's not a compliment. I'm saying we didn't need it from all these other guys because our wide center backs were doing it. That's, to me, the thing that expresses the idea it's time to change the midfield. Because I can understand utilizing this midfield for progression when you're not getting it elsewhere. We've talked about this. It's a logical thing. We've used our midfield setup to progress the ball because we weren't getting that kind of progression out the back. It was the same last season. When Lissandro went down, Bruno moved deeper to start helping us progress the ball. The one positive takeaway I have from West Ham is that we actually progressed the ball via the wide center backs directly the way that we wanted to. And what that means to me is we are actually able, if we can keep that going and focus on that and keep Mazraoui and Shaw going.
CBs progressed the ball. All three were top 10 in Europe for progressive passes into final third per 90 and passes per 90.
Yes, exactly. If we can continue to see Mazraoui and Shaw progress it through the wide areas, progress the ball up the pitch, be aggressive in their carrying, be aggressive in their passing, be aggressive in the way they move the ball forward, we don't need it from the midfield anymore. And now we can play a different midfield. So if there was a time to try something different in the midfield, it would be now. So long as we stick with progressive wide players and the back line. I understand Mazraoui is leaving soon, but Lissandro is back. Maybe we can figure out how to get Lissandro and Shaw going. I understand they're two left footers, but I just feel like there's maybe a way to make it work. But maybe now is the time we can see some changes. If I have one huge ask of Amorim, since we're talking about the midfield, stick to this. Stick to this way of progressing through the wide center backs. Encourage it. As long as we have Mazraoui for the next 2 games, play Mazraoui and Shaw, progress it up the field that way. Once Maguire gets back, help us with progression. When De Ligt comes back and Mazraoui leaves, kick his ass to progress the ball from that right center back position. Just go, 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 be aggressive. I think he'll do it. He's a smart player. He's a good player. He listens. Push them to progress the ball through the wide areas and change the damn midfield to be more combative because we don't need that kind of progression. When you look at the stats here, Casemiro, if he's not providing progression and he's giving the ball away by completing 76% of passes and he can't win a fucking second ball to save his life and he can't judge the flight of a ball from a goalkeeper, what purpose does he serve on the pitch? Because we're not using him for progression anymore. So that's where I want to see something different. You know, if we don't need that progression, then we can do something different in there. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but try something else. Try something else. You know, that's what I want to see in there. If we cannot, if we can progress the ball through the wide areas, we should be able to try something else with the midfield. We should. Because that is the understandable justification that I can give. Not just a justification, it's an understandable truth about the way that Amorim plays football and wants the team to play. Yeah. So it's one of those things like if they can progress the ball that way, then there's really no reason that we can't make changes in other areas to sort it out now. I'm trying to look really quick and see if I can find the last game like that to see if it was the same or not. Heaven was pretty solid yesterday. I thought he struggled. To be honest. That's just my opinion. I thought he struggled, but I think that's okay that he struggled too. But I did think he struggled, to be quite honest.
That midfield keeps giving me nightmares, James. The deficiencies have been so obvious to see last couple of games.
Yeah, they have. It's been every day. You know what I mean? It's been every day. It's been every game. It's been like that. It's frustrating. I wake up with cold sweats every time about the midfield. It's just like I can't handle it anymore, man. I can't. I'm so beaten and broken by knowing I've got to watch the midfield lose duels over and over and over again. It really does tear me down mentally. It really does. It's like, it's crazy. And I know that's a crazy thing to say, but it's just like, it's beyond frustrating. And look, it's like, I wish we could find a happy medium in terms of discussion on it. Like, I wish we could find a happy medium. Just because you want your midfield to win battles doesn't mean you're aiming for just shin kickers and Olympic athletes. We're talking about the least combative midfield in the league. We're not asking for Palhinha and Ugarte. Okay? I'm asking for something in the middle that will win some duels, that will fight, that will be combative. Doesn't mean they have to be shit. I'm asking for something in the middle. That's all, you know. There's a lot of disingenuousness in response to that there's something wrong with wanting midfielders who are combative. It is a vital necessity. It is a baseline. Doesn't mean you're asking for literally just wrestlers or something like that. You know, we've done the opposite. We had Pogba and Matic, and we complained about it at that time because it was not combative enough, and we've had lots of different midfields over the years that haven't worked. But our best one, our most functional midfield has always been McFred, and that's because they brought at least the battle winning, the fighting, all of that. So, whatever, you know. The attack was so bad last year we didn't even notice how bad the midfield was. Yeah, well, you couldn't make the ball stick up front ever. So it was like, what's the point of the midfield if we can't get the ball forward? If whenever we get the ball forward, they can't score anyway. Last time Mainoo and Ugarte started together wasn't at Grimsby. Someone help. Yeah, but I still don't blame them for that game. Like, I watched that game a few times and I was like, what's wrong? You know, like, did they really do anything particularly wrong in that game? I watched it again and I was like, it really wasn't that crazy. 90% of what went wrong in that game was Ahmad and Dallo on the right were combining for disaster. And then Fredrickson and Onana at the back, unfortunately, killed us. Like, that was 90% of it. It wasn't amazing or anything from Kobbie in that game, but it wasn't the issue anyway. It was all these other things that went on. You know, that's like I said, I still want to see that midfield more. I don't know. I still want to see it. I want to see it in the Premier League because I think as long as if you're putting Ahmad out wide instead of it being Dallo, if you're putting good center backs at the back to progress the ball, and you have a good keeper, that wouldn't have gone so disastrously at all. You know, but I'd be very happy to get someone like Adams or Gomez or the names we've discussed in January, because I would love to see someone like Adams or Gomez next to Kobbie, and I think that would make a nice pairing there, where essentially, in theory, Ugarte Kobbie should work. You know, Ugarte's had his difficulties, but if you're getting Premier League established players, you could play one of them with Kobbie, and I think it would be decent. I actually think it would be quite good. So I hope we see something like that soon as well. Anyway, because this is like, I'm a single issue voter right now on this topic. Sign a fucking midfielder. Sign me some combative midfielders. That's all I want. I'm desperate. I'm desperate for that, man. Like it's all I care about. We just have to change. We just have to change what's going on here. We just have to change it. We've got to change the direction that things are going. We've got to change the midfield, man, so badly. So yeah, I mean, whatever. It is what it is. Right now, the way that I look at it, like I said, in terms of a balanced take, I think that Amorim does himself no favors sometimes and certainly makes decisions to me that are a bit baffling. I also think that we're about where we deserve to be, and I don't think we have particularly convincing options alternatively. We are presently 2 points off of top 4. So I'm happy with that. We were 7 points off top 4 this time last year. So we're a little better off. We're a little closer to where we need to be. And right around where we expect to be. Like I've said all week, I'll say again today. This is a team that can be anywhere between 4th and 8th on its present, with its present options and its present everything. And yeah, that's where we are. We continue to be there. A sometimes team. Sometimes we're a little up. Sometimes we're a little down. But that's where we are as a team. So yeah, my hope is that if we go with more progressive center backs, that we can do something in the midfield as well. My standard, where I say I don't want... Yeah, good question. I was just going to get to that, Fluff. My standard is pretty simple for this season. I've maintained it the whole year. I said when we win, I'm not going to get high. And I said when we lose, I'm not going to get low. Lo and behold, we didn't even lose. I mean, we drew. But like I said, after we beat Palace, I didn't go on the celebratory lap and say, oh, everything's wonderful now, because it isn't. The standard for Amorim is Europa League 6 or above. That's it. 6 or above. If he doesn't get 6 or above, he got to go. I hope he can get that. We need that. Without reinforcements, 6 or above. That's what we need. Right? I think that would be acceptable with the squad that we have without reinforcement. But I also think that with simple reinforcements, the standard should be higher than that. So yeah. I want top 6 minimum. Yeah. Top 6 minimum. Yeah, well, the watch-alongs is always emotional. You know what I mean? The watch-alongs is just emotion in the moment. The watch-alongs just a moment in the moment, you know? Yeah, the watch-alongs are all in the moment. I'll be too nice, I'll be too angry, I'll be too happy in the moment. But that's how we should live every single game, you know? When we win, we should be extremely happy in that moment. But when you step back and look at everything, we shouldn't be, because we're just not there yet. So, all right, guys, enjoy the rest of your Friday. I'm gonna head out. I'll see you all later. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do our squad vote and all that shit on Sunday before Monday's game, and hopefully we get a turnaround quickly here. Okay, thanks for watching. Appreciate you all. I'll probably do another Twitter space on next week, sometime midweek, maybe Wednesday or something like that after the game. Win or lose, I'll try to do one every week because it's kind of fun in addition to this, okay? See you later, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. I'll catch you later on all of that. Goodbye.